My name is Abhi, and today we're talking about intuitive eating. One of the most common or best known tools for dealing with eating disorders or even just a generally negative relationship with food is a concept called intuitive eating. In this video, we're going to talk about what is intuitive eating, the benefits of it, the key principles of it, my experience when I tried it, and some things to bear in mind if you're looking at trying it yourself as well. Now, before we get too far, let me add my normal disclaimer. For specific advice around this, please speak to a therapist, a nutritionist, a dietitian, a doctor, someone that's actually qualified to help you and give you the specific treatment advice that you want. First of all, what is intuitive eating? In very simple terms, intuitive eating is the idea of listening to your body's signals of when it's hungry and when it's thirsty, and honoring those signals. So in other words, trusting your body's intuition on what to eat and drink. It's definitely not a diet. In fact, it really goes the opposite way and rejects the idea of diet mentality. You don't label foods as good or bad, and you don't sort of restrict yourself from certain foods the way you would if you're on a diet. On the flip side, it's also not a blanket invitation to just eat whatever you want, whenever you want. I guess it's trusting your body's signals on what its wants or needs are. It's not specifically focused on weight loss or weight gain, just on nourishing your body and allowing it to tell you what to give it. There are a few benefits of intuitive eating. Just another disclaimer here that a lot of them do come after some time. It takes a lot of work and a lot of effort because you have to work through potentially years of an unhealthy relationship or negative relationship with food or drink. First of all, you learn to be in tune with your body signals. Your body's pretty smart. It's pretty good at self-regulating, and once upon a time it was probably very good at giving you signals of when it's hungry and when it has a certain nutritional need or when it wasn't getting enough nutrition. And then we started changing that by sticking to rigid meal times or dieting or trying to suppress our appetite or control our hunger, and that starts to mess with the internal signaling that your body provides. And intuitive eating can help you get back to listening to your body. Number two is that you also learn to appreciate food more. When you stop seeing food as specifically good or bad, you start to learn to appreciate the taste and texture and the flavors more. And then you learn the foods that you like or dislike and how changing your nutrition can positively or negatively impact your body. Number three is you stop feeling guilty about food. You can stop treating your diet like an ethical or moral issue. It'll also help you learn to remove the emotional stigma around food so you don't end up demonizing certain foods the way you might have before. And number four is that you learn to find balance. You learn to give your body the nutrition and nourishment that it needs, while also allowing yourself to enjoy those so-called less nutritious foods that you might want to enjoy from time to time. One common question I see about intuitive eating is whether it can lead to weight loss or weight gain. And again, I think it's important to note that intuitive eating isn't about weight management or weight change or deliberate weight change. But if you are learning to change the way you're eating, if you're learning to change the way that you nourish your body and what you put into it, there is a chance that your weight will change, either increasing or decreasing. If you spent years trying to restrict and almost punish your body and deprive it of some nutrients and nutrition that it might actually need, then learning to loosen up on those restrictions may lead to a little bit of weight gain. But that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Giving your body the food and the nutrition that it's been asking for and that it needs is not a bad thing. Learning to find balance between health and enjoying yourself is not a bad thing. You may find that the increased nutrition or increased volume of food has a positive impact on your mood, on your confidence, on your energy levels, on your overall health, and your overall sense of well-being. On the flip side, it can, I guess, also lead to weight loss if, for example, you've been dealing with binge eating disorder and that's caused you to gain some weight, which is quite common with that eating disorder. Then having a better relationship with food and destigmatizing certain foods and reducing your emotional attachment to certain food might help reduce the frequency or the impact or the intensity of the binges that you have, which in turn means you might end up eating less, which in turn can lead to some weight loss. Like I said, intuitive eating doesn't have a weight change or weight management focus, but it can happen when you change your eating habit. How any weight change manifests in your experience will depend on your relationship with food, what you're trying to achieve, and to an extent your past experience with food as well. I did experiment with intuitive eating for a bit, especially when my binge eating disorder was kind of peaking. And just to be clear, I never sought professional help on this. Everything I did was entirely from my own reading, so it was very much skewed based on the sources I was looking at. The sources I was looking at was just basically Google and Instagram, so take that with a pinch of salt. When my binge eating disorder was at its worst, I used to go through days where I'd have like up to 2,000 calories by dinner time, and then I would end up binging, and my calories for the day could reach up to sort of 3,500 or 4,000. So more or less doubling the calories I was having. I never counted or tracked my binge calories accurately, surprisingly. So that's purely an estimate, and it's purely based off what I think I had. It could have been more, it could have been less. Trying to apply intuitive eating in the middle of a binge, so while you're actually eating, just doesn't work. It was a non-starter. But what I did find is that if I applied intuitive eating throughout the day, so I was a bit more mindful of what I was eating, when I was eating, how much I was eating, and maybe eating a bit more, I was feeling fuller, I was feeling generally better, I was feeling healthier, and the same kind of stress or triggers that might otherwise have caused a binge weren't feeling as intense. and I wasn't really binging as much. So in that sense, it very much did help me. There are 10 principles of intuitive eating. Number 1, first and foremost, reject diet mentality. Dieting doesn't work, and if it worked for you, you probably wouldn't be trying new ones on repeat. Number 2 is to honor your hunger. Hunger isn't a bad thing. Eat when your body tells you it's hungry and stop when it tells you it's full. Number 3 is make peace with food. No food should be seen as good or bad or off limits. If you want to have something, you should feel comfortable enough to allow yourself to have it. Ironically, when you give yourself that flexibility, those kind of intense cravings for things seems to go away. Or at least that's my experience anyways. Number 4 is challenge the food police. So don't let other people tell you what you should or shouldn't be having or what you can and can't have. You know your body better than anyone. Stop letting other people tell you what you should or shouldn't be putting into it, and don't let other people project their own food views onto you. Number 4, feel your fullness. Just like it's important to understand when your body's telling you it's hungry, it's also important to try and understand when your body's telling you that it's full. And it's good to learn to eat to the point of feeling full without feeling overstuffed. Discover food satisfaction. Try and eat distraction-free. Try not to eat when you're multitasking. That way you can really focus on eating and focus on the taste and texture of the food that you're having. Cope with your feelings without food. Food does have an emotional link for a lot of us. That's why we end up turning to it when we're stressed, when we're bored, when we want a little bit of comfort. And it is a short-term fix. It can sedate whatever we're feeling. And that is why we can keep going back to emotional eating. So maybe next time you're feeling something that is drawing your mind and attention towards food, maybe try something else. Go for a walk, start a hobby, do a puzzle, something that's going to keep your hands and mind a little bit more distracted. I started turning to adult coloring books. Just to be clear, adult coloring books means like coloring books that are made for adults. There's no like X-rated content in there, just to be clear. That has helped me a lot. It's something to engage my mind and it keeps me distracted. So food cravings and that kind of little niggling desire for something seems to go away. Next up is respect your body. Every single body is 100% unique, and it's a reflection of you, your background, and your lived-in experience. It's not going to do much good to try and compare your actual lived-in body with the unrealistic standards of someone else that you might see on social media or in a magazine or in a movie or something. Next up is to exercise and actually feel something. It's very easy for us to go into a workout and think, I want to burn this many calories, or I want to target this area, or I need to get my heart rate up to a certain amount. But exercising should be a fun and enjoyable and empowering experience. It shouldn't just be about trying to, tear yourself down or tick a box that you hit a certain number. There's a lot of fun and enjoyment and happiness to be had from exercise. There's no perfect way to work out. It really depends on what you enjoy. So it could be running, it could be weights, it could be gymnastics, it could be CrossFit, it could be hiking, it could be dance, it could be axe throwing. I don't know. Just find something that you enjoy and focus on the enjoyment you get from it. And lastly, honor your health. Focus on gentle nutrition and aim for progress, not perfection. Don't just focus on weight loss or calories or macros. Focus on the nutrition that your body needs and find a balance between giving it that and including the foods that you enjoy. An occasional treat or indulgence won't take the balance away from an overall well-balanced diet. So, like I said, aim for progress, not perfection. And just to wrap this up, I want to point out that intuitive eating is a different experience for everyone. The best representation of this that I saw was a picture on Instagram. It was just a plate of cookies, and the caption just kind of explained how progress or success will be different for everyone with that plate of cookies. For one person, progress might be having one cookie and not feeling guilty about it. For one person, progress might be having one cookie and being able to stop. And for one person, progress might be having as many damn cookies as they want and not worrying about it, not counting it, and not feeling guilty. We all have different experiences and different lives, so what success is and what progress is with intuitive eating will look different for everyone. Like I said at the start, I'm not a qualified professional. If that's something you're interested in, I have included a link to the transcript and the blog post for this video in the description, and there are some resources there that can help you with that.